Inside this box is the brand new Pixel 9 Pro Fold. Essentially the follow-up to the original Pixel Fold, or the Fold 2, if you want to call it that. Google didn't know. They wanted to go for the most complex name out there, Pixel 9 Pro Fold. Mine just showed up. I pre-ordered mine a couple weeks ago. I don't actually remember which color I got. Oh, it looks like we got the Obsidian. Nice. Wow, I'm not gonna lie, this box is significantly smaller than I was expecting. So 2024 has been interesting for me because I went from never using any foldable phones to using 3 in the last 2 months. But that's because most of the major brands that have foldable phones have dropped them in the last 2 months. You've got the Motorola Razr Plus, you've got the Samsung Z Flip 6 and the Z Fold 6, and now we've got the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold. I'm just always gonna trip up on that name. This review is gonna be a bummer. At least it's on the side of the box, so I can always check that out to verify. But I am really excited to check out this phone. As much as I love the sort of small flip phones, I really like the larger form factor. The phone that turns from a regular phone into a tablet, and that's pretty much exactly what this is. Now, I never actually owned the original Google Pixel Fold, so this is gonna be a new experience for me, but I know that there is a pretty large difference between this version and the previous version, mainly in size and in form factor. But of course, we'll get into that throughout the unboxing video, and obviously stay tuned for the review coming in the next week or two, so make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. This was not sent to me from Team Pixel or anyone like that, although Team Pixel has sent me phones in the past years ago. For some reason they just stopped. I'm not sure exactly why, but they did. Regardless, this is a phone that I bought with my own money, so let's pop it open and see how it looks. I guess we should take a look at the box first. On the front, you've got the Obsidian Google Pixel Fold Pro Max XL with the double camera setup, the stacked camera setup. It comes in sort of a dark gray box, unlike the porcelain color, which is the other color that you can grab in this phone, which comes in more of like a cream or white box. You've got the Google logo on the top, the name of the phone on the sides, and then some tech specs in the back, and then of course all your important information on the bottom. So let's pull these little tabs right here and get into the phone. I've never actually unboxed this phone this way, other than the last Google Pixel that I actually just reviewed. This is a really interesting, oh no, I did it wrong. Alright, this is supposed to come out easier, I think. Here we go. So here's the internal box. I didn't realize this phone box would be so thin. Obviously, you're not getting a power adapter of any kind, or a wall wart, or anything like that, which is kind of standard for premium phones now, which is wild to me. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty thin foldable, at least from the images that I've seen online, and obviously now the box. So you've got an outline of the phone completely open on the outside of the box. Let's pull off the top and see what we've got. Nothing inside the top of the box. Looks like we've got the phone right here, so let's pull it out with this little tab. Very nice. Wow, that is thin. Wow, that's really thin. It feels like as thin as my iPad, which is kind of wild. You do have a giant camera bump in there, but the rest of the phone, very, very thin. But we'll get to that in a second. Next up inside the box, you've got your USB-C to USB-C cable right here. And then you've also got, presumably, startup instructions, maybe a SIM removal tool. I'm not sure. Yes, you do have a SIM removal tool. I use eSIMs now, so I'm not going to need that. Yeah, you've got your support guide right here with information we don't need. And then this also tells you that the fingerprint reader is on the side of the phone. You've got the volume on the side of the phone, and then where to charge it. So I guess all good information if you're new to phones. You really don't get much inside of phone boxes anymore, which is kind of wild, especially for a phone like this that I paid $1,800 for base for the 256 gigabyte version. There is also, I believe, a 512 version, which is probably what, $100 more, $200 more? Let me check. About $120 more. It's $19.19. Very interesting pricing there. But with that being said, let's get into the phone itself. Very nice. Wow, this phone is actually really beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie, this is a really nice looking phone. You've got the front screen right there, or I guess the inside screen. Let me fold it closed. Wow, that's a stiff hinge. And a nice little, listen to this. Ooh, that's satisfying. Now I will say, initial hand feel, pretty impressed. Obviously, it's got an asymmetrical design. You've got these rounded edges, at least asymmetrical when you're holding the phone closed. Rounded edges, I guess if you're looking at it front facing, on the right side, which is great for right-handers like myself because it fits right in my palm. I guess if I was holding it left-handed, it's actually not as easy left-handed, I'm not gonna lie. The screen size is actually the same ratio as a standard smartphone. So they have changed that. The older one was more of a passport size is what people say, but that's a good comparison actually, I think, so it makes sense why they say it. It was a little bit shorter and fatter, but this one, kind of your standard phone size. I'll be honest, I don't love the fact that the hinge is so asymmetrical. I actually think I prefer the way that Samsung approached it, where they made it a rectangle, the same on both sides. Now, obviously, it's a thinner phone, but I still think they could have sort of squared off these edges, which I guess wouldn't have felt as good in the hand, but it would have made it look symmetrical, so I don't know. But at first glance, good size, good hand feel. The spine right here is sort of glossy, so it's already gotten a bunch of fingerprints, but there's no branding on it. You've got the Google logo on the back in gloss, and then the rest of the Gorilla Glass Victus 2 back plate comes in this really nice sort of satin black, which I really like a lot. Obviously, you've got the camera bump right here, which no longer runs across the back of the phone and instead is this stacked, I don't know what's called, this rounded rectangle. Very odd why they did it this way. It doesn't actually run across the back of the phone, and it's not like you're getting a significantly better camera than you're getting in any of the other Pixel phones. In fact, even though this is a Pro phone, technically, the wide angle and the telephoto lens are both definitely worse. So kind of disappointed that they made the cameras worse and also they set it up like this. I just don't love the way that looks. I really like the way it looks on the standard Pixel Pro XL. Check out my review if you want to at the top of the screen. But on this one, that's my least favorite part so far, this sort of camera nodule thing. Edges of the phone come in this nice sort of obsidian, I guess satin or matte. You've got the fingerprint reader, you've got the volume rocker, you've got the USB-C on the bottom, and then of course your SIM card area as well as speakers. It looks like on the top and the bottom. Let me pop this guy open. So initial impressions of the crease in the middle of the screen, not bad. I think it will get worse the more that I use this phone. That's what I noticed with other foldable phones. Now there is a pretty large border around the entire screen, which I guess would make sense. It kind of keeps out, any dust and debris. It is probably larger than I would like, but I've got to turn on the phone to really see it, how it looks in action. One thing I will say that I like a lot is that when you close it, there's no gap between the two sides of the phone. Very nice detail. I also like the weight a lot, and I like the thinness. There's a lot of upgrades here. I've got to say, from hand feel versus the Fold 6, I think I prefer this. But let me turn it on, see how it actually looks and works. So this phone features Android 14. Obviously, it will be upgraded to Android 15 when that releases. Google launched their phones earlier than they usually do, probably to get a jump on Apple and the iPhone, which would make sense. They probably need it. It looks weird. This asymmetrical design is kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. I'm sure I'll get used to it, but still kind of weird. I really like the fact that this is super wide, though. The fact that it's super wide feels like a regular phone width. Let me pull out my iPhone. Yeah, it's very similar to the width of my iPhone. I mean, proportions-wise, it seems like it's the same. It's obviously a little bit shorter, a little bit thinner, but wow. Really liking that a lot. What's interesting is that I found with all of the larger foldable phones that I've used, I tend to use the external screen more. Definitely when I'm responding to text messages, responding to emails, even social media. But when it comes to gaming or YouTube or watching, videos and content like that, I will open up the screen. But generally, I use the outside screen. And the reason I say that is because I like the fact that it's significantly larger on this phone than on the Z Fold 6, which is a lot thinner. And almost like a Snickers bar. It's a little too thin. This one though, like I said, feels like a regular phone, which I like. Now unfortunately, there are things about this phone that make it closer to the standard Google Pixel 9 than the Pixel 9 Pro. It does come with 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is a good thing. And the base model comes with 256 gigs of storage, and then you could upgrade to 512. I don't know why they don't give you an option to upgrade to a terabyte, but I mean, if you're already spending basically $2,000 on half a terabyte, I'm assuming the terabyte option would be absurdly expensive. So, but overall quality, yeah, this feels really good in the hand. Now, when it comes to AI, this phone features all of the same things that the Pixel Pro have. It also features some Pro camera features because it is a Pro phone. So if you swipe up on the camera area or on the camera app, it'll give you some Pro features. Again, the camera is not as good as the Pro. Oh, I just turned it off when I was setting a pin. The camera is not as good as the Pro, which is sort of a bummer. In fact, the main camera is not 50 megapixels like it is on the standard Pixel Pro. Instead, it's 48 megapixels. The ultra wide is, I believe, 10.5 megapixels, and the telephoto is 10.8. I might have gotten that backwards. Let me check. No, the ultra wide is 10.5 megapixels, and the telephoto is 10.8. So you're getting a pretty big downgrade there for the ultra wide and the telephoto. And if you've watched any of my phone reviews, you know that I use a lot of my phones for vlogging, and a lot of times I'll use the ultra wide lens because it gets more things in frame. It's easier for me to frame myself when I'm not looking at the phone. That is one thing that I really wish that these foldable phones took advantage of. I mean, it seems like such a missed opportunity. You've got both screens already. Why not put slightly better cameras in there so you could use them with the screen flipped out so you could see yourself and frame your shot? I just don't understand that part. Fingerprint added. Okay, set up face unlock. Let's do this. Done. That was easy. Sweet. So yeah, there are some things about this phone that I wish were different, but a lot of these gripes are also similar with other foldable phones. For whatever reason, a $2,000 phone doesn't feature all the Pro features that a $1,000 Pro phone does. That's the case for both Samsung and for Google, which is frustrating, but it's just what they've chosen to do. I'm sure in the future that will change. Actually, I'm not sure. I'm hopeful in the future that will change, but who knows? Everything else other than the asymmetry on the front screen, I love about this phone. Everything else. I love the materials. I love the hand feel. I love the color. I think the color is awesome. Ready to start using your device. Let's do it. Let's watch my latest video on my main channel, Seth Fowler. Not bad. Let's pop it open to the inside screen. That's what I'm excited about.
It doesn't mean I'm talking about that colorway in particular. I'm talking about the...
Now, the inner screen is obviously larger. It's 6.8 inches versus 6.3 on the external screen. It also is variable between 1 and 120 hertz, so you can get all sorts of different screen speed options, refresh rates is what I should say. The front screen is only variable from 60 to 120 hertz, which is still not bad, but it is better on the internal screen. The resolution is also better on the internal screen. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right this second, but it is better. I'll tell you guys all of that in the full review, so stay tuned for that. This internal screen is almost a square as well, which I really like. I like the aspect ratio a lot. You do have an always-on display, which is nice, and I will say that the thinness of this phone, excellent. Oh, I also like the camera cutout right there in the top corner instead of where it is on the Samsung phone where it's hidden underneath the screen, which is fine. But it looks like a drop of water hit it, and just like it just doesn't look right. I'd rather just have, honestly, an honest camera hole. Like, show me where the camera is. It's hidden in the side of the screen. It's not going to bother me too much. I don't know. That was just my own personal preference. All right, with all that being said, let me set this guy up and I'll come back to you. All right, so at this point, I'm pretty much all set up, and I've got to say, I'm really enjoying this foldable. I actually think I might like it better than the Z Fold 6. Now, to be honest, if I was to grab the main Pro phone from a certain brand, it would probably be from Samsung. However, when it comes to foldables, there's something about this Google foldable that feels more approachable. It feels, I don't know, more refined. Less cold. The Fold 6 just felt like a very machined phone. It didn't feel like it had that much personality. This phone, yes, there are quirks that I don't love, like the back, but those quirks kind of make this phone more exciting, more interesting. Now, there are a bunch of AI features in this phone that we've already talked about in the Google Pixel Pro review, but I'm going to kind of go over them again. Mainly because I forget which kind of processor this has. I think it's a Tensor G4, but I could be wrong. Let me ask. We're going to use Google Gemini Live.
Let's start chatting whenever you're ready.
This is probably my favorite AI feature. I love Gemini Live. It's incredible. You do have to pay for it, though. They give you a couple free months, but you do have to pay for it eventually. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. It's a little quieter around here than usual. People seem to be using me less since I can't do things like give them directions or play music. How about you?
That was honest.
Well, it's always best to be honest, right? You never know. Things might pick up again soon. Have you heard any good jokes lately?
I haven't, but I did want to ask what processor is in the Google Pixel Pro Fold.
The Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold runs on Google's newest Tensor G4 chip. It's supposed to be their fastest and most powerful processor yet.
How would you rate the new Google Pixel 9 Fold Pro on a scale of 1 to 10?
Okay, since the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is brand new, there aren't a ton of reviews out there yet. But based on what the experts are saying, it sounds like it's a pretty solid device. It's definitely faster than the previous Pixel Fold, the screen's improved, and it's supposed to be a lot more durable. I'd give it an 8 out of 10, but that's just my opinion.
Wow, you're basically doing my job for me. I appreciate it. Obviously, I haven't even scratched the surface of everything that you can do with the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. I was calling it different things throughout the entire video. Sorry about that. The name is ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I'm gonna use this phone for the next few days, probably a week, and then come back to you guys with a full review to let you know how I feel after day-to-day use. But so far, I'm pretty impressed. It's got a lot of the Google features that I really liked about the Google Pixel Pro 9 or 9 Pro. And the form factor is really solid. I like it a lot. Now, I do want to try one game on it, which is Skyforce R. And I love the fact that it fills up the whole screen. That's awesome. Gaming on this phone, though, seems like it's going to be awesome. The screen is incredible. Now, the crease, you definitely feel when your hand rolls over it or slides over it. But you don't really see it as much unless you're getting extreme lighting situations. I'm sure in total darkness, you probably won't see it at all. Yeah, this is pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. I like how light the phone is. I really like that a lot. Like I said, I'm going to come back to you guys in the next couple days. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see the full review for this phone. And let me know in the comment section down below if there's any questions you want me to answer for you about the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.